So I'm going to take us through some best practices and game changers with regards to workforce optimization. So a little bit about VPI. I'm not going to talk to this slide. You'll get it when you get the presentation afterwards, so we'll just skip right over that one and really get into it. What we're going to talk about, right, kind of focuses on a recent Gartner study. Right, what do contact centers want today, right? What are we really driving towards? And this was mentioned in all three of the previous presentations is how do we understand, right, data, right? Real-time and predictive data is what we want. We want to make actionable decisions and be able to drive change within our organizations by looking at data in real time, being able to understand it, not just from a historical perspective. We also want unified views. This was a message that Scott mentioned, Jennifer mentioned, Stefan mentioned, right? We have a lot of siloed systems, so how do we bring that data together and centralize it so then we can take action against it and start to understand it better? And then in addition to standard reporting businesses, right, operational customer insights that are actionable, how do we drive decision-making and process optimization, right? Those are the kinds of things that everyone is focusing on right now. And we're going to take a deeper dive into how we can, right, solve and address some of those challenges. What is the challenge? We had similar slides like this that were shown in previous presentations, right? And this just reemphasizes what is the big challenge facing a lot of organizations today. We've got disparate data sources that are spread out amongst our organizations that make it very challenging and difficult to get at the information you need. We have data from, right, ACDs, IVRs, email, chat. We've got workforce optimization information, right, recording platforms, our QA, our WFM. Then we've got our host of in-house applications like our CRM systems, our help desk, right, our homegrown just products that we build. We've got HR systems. How do we start bridging the gap and bringing that information together so we can really understand it and improve efficiencies? It takes a long time for business intelligence analysts to compile this information and make sense of it. So the idea is, how do we break it out of those silos and bring it together? What we want to do, right, the goal is to ultimately consolidate and operationalize. We want to bring in data from your ACD, your IVR, right, your homegrown systems, your workforce management applications. You want to consolidate that information into a centralized platform, allowing you to leverage all of that information in the business processes that you're trying to change, right, with the ultimate goal of maybe increasing customer satisfaction, improving revenue, right, improving employee morale and retention, right? All of those things can be driven off of the collection of data, right, and how we operationalize it. That's important. So now, once we understand that we know we've got disparate data, we know we want to try to join that together, what are some of the things that we can do, right? So I'm going to present to you and show you what are some of the game changers that we can really implement in our organizations that will allow us to drive some of this change. One of the first ones is we have a lot of customer interactions. And when you have those customer interactions, are you really assembling all of the relevant information within those customer interactions so you can optimize that information and that data? And we know that a customer interaction with your organization might be through multiple channels, but are you collecting all the relevant call data? But further than that, are you also, right, attaching to that maybe desktop data, right, about that customer interaction? What's their customer ID, right? What were they calling about? What was the disposition about that call into your center, or that communication into your center, be it from email, from chat, from social media, from a traditional phone call, right? Which a lot of us don't even use the phone anymore. It's all text and chat and email these days. But, when you're getting those types of communications, how are you assembling that customer experience, that customer interaction? And what data are you making available? And additionally, what are we doing with speech and text analytics, right? Are we spotting the keywords, right? Stefan gives a great presentation on the speech analytics component. Are we doing the things that we need to do to really understand that customer experience? It's more than just looking at baseline interaction data. We want to couple that with the entire experience from the systems that we have integrated with all the way through processing that information through tools like speech analytics to further understand that customer experience. That's when we can start to drive change in an organization. That's the first step. Make your interactions with your customers powerful by collecting as much data as you can so you can go back and do root cause analysis, right, and understand where you need to make process improvements and changes. A second thing that would be a game changer is we got a lot of data. We've talked about that. That's been the message throughout this. Wow, we have a ton of information that's available. But what do we do with that data? How about the notion of getting real-time consolidated tickers and scorecards and making that information available at the agent level, supervisor, manager, director, all the way up through the organization? Putting data in front of people is a good thing. We want to empower our staff, right, to know how they're doing. When we start putting desktop tickers as an example that contain data points or metrics, right, or KPIs from different data sources, I now start to have a sense as an agent of knowing how I'm performing. And you can, right, really give someone a true sense of how they're doing and start to operate in a more proactive environment instead of a reactive environment. Desktop tickers showing them maybe their average calls per hour, their total, sales conversions, their total sales to date, their schedule adherence, maybe calls in queue, building out platforms and allowing agents and representatives within an organization to fully utilize and understand how they're doing is going to improve, right, the downstream of, customer satisfaction, call handling, customer engagement handling. All that goes into it by putting that information right in front of our user base. Real-time scorecards, supervisors, right? I've got scorecard views, desktop tickers, again, access to the real-time information. Another key component. We have to consolidate the data, centralize it, and then define ways that we can share that out to our staff so that everyone is informed, right? Knowledge is powerful only if you utilize it the right way, right? The collection of data is only as good as, right, the people reviewing it or the access to that information. So it's important to utilize different tools that will allow you to get that information in front of the folks that can really drive change within the organization. Typical results within 30 days, right? Reduced cost, increased revenue, right? Reduced wrap time, increased average speed of answer, reduced abandon rates, right? These are some of the typical results you'll see when you start to put information in front of the staff. Another component, right? Create weighted and customized KPIs with targets, right? Building a KPI is more than just a single metric. It can be a culmination of a number of metrics, right, that drive up to what makes that KPI. You want to have the flexibility and the ability to create metrics that you can weight and also assign targets to so that you can drive, again, additional change. Really important to rate those, right, and measure them appropriately. And the top four, or the fourth, a way that we can provide a game changer is to set up automated actions. And this is really important. Right? We have to close the loop, and I think Jennifer had talked about this during her presentation. It's not just about, right, defining what we're looking for and targeting and then going through simulations. It's also about taking that action to drive change. When we start to analyze and look at data, we want to do things to improve efficiencies within the organization. We are really big on getting supervisors back out of the seats and getting them back in front of the staff, getting them on the floor, working, coaching, training. Right? Jennifer spoke to the supervisors that are good leaders and good trainers and are working with their staff and staying away from special projects and kind of, right, focusing on the team are the ones that have good morale and have good, employee retention. It's critical to do that, so we want to take inefficient tasks away from them by setting up and utilizing all the data that we have for automation. Are we automatically flagging repeat calls and then queuing those up to be reviewed, right, for process improvement and first call, right, resolution analysis? Are we properly alerting staff, workforce management, frontline representatives? Are we doing that automated alerting based on the data points that we've collected? Are we properly looking at staffing, right? We've got call volume increases. Are we automatically adjusting our workforce management staffing to accommodate? Or we've got lower periods. Are we automatically utilizing that time to deliver training? When I have a lull in my call volume, right, and I've got some time, what am I doing with that time? Am I maybe sending out a coaching activity that everyone can take for 5 or 10 minutes to, again, improve their performance? Coaching, right, sales conversions, automatically assigning those activities, reskilling, right, to get people properly, right, cross-skilled to handle different areas within the organization. Really important to set up automation. Let's get the supervisors back in front of their teams, working with their reps, all right, by automating processes and putting that real-time data in front of people. Workforce optimization in a nutshell, right? This is important. 30%, right, of folks that were surveyed look at a successful balance, right? And then there can be a bit of a sacrifice in customer satisfaction, but it's all about finding that optimization. How do you leverage workforce efficiencies, data analytics, right? Understanding your customer interaction to drive the ultimate goal, right? Which is customer satisfaction, but also finding that balance. It's really important to look at all those pieces. And again, our top 4 game changers, right? Interaction analytics, need to understand the data, entire customer experience. Putting information real time in tickers and scorecards so your agents and users can be empowered with the information they need to drive change. We want to be proactive. Creating weighted KPIs, metrics with targets, and then also setting up automation. Can't stress that enough. We want to automate processes for delivering coaching, delivering information, flagging and alerting staff on areas of opportunity where we need to drive change. All those things will help you be successful with your organization. And with that, I've got some contact information here if anyone would like to reach out to me further.